fun, and she's inspiring. Let's welcome our host, Kimberly from Entrepreneurs Rocket Fuel's Web Summit, and a warm welcome to you. Thanks for joining us, and we've got an exciting guest coming right up. Kimberly, take it away.
Hey folks, it's Kimberly Hobscheid with Entrepreneurs Rocket Fuel and the Passive Income Web Summit. We are actually waiting for one of our attendees to join us. I think he might be in the room here, so let me see if I can promote him to panelist. Shadid, welcome to the program. We're super glad to have you here with us. Glad that you are here to share your knowledge and information on with us today on passive income streams. And you're actually going to be talking to us about creating passive income from the content you already have. Is that right?
That is correct. It is
Welcome.
an honor and pleasure to be here with you, Kimberly, and your audience. This will be time well spent.
Good, I agree. So one of the things that people talk about oftentimes is content is king, but then a lot of people are sort of a little heart hurt over giving away so much content for free because so much is available on Google and YouTube, and like you could pretty much learn how to do everything, including cleaning out the kitchen sink from YouTube or Google. So I would love to hear your talk today. Very excited to be talking about how you have monetized your content in sort of a bigger and more passionate way. But before we get started, let's learn a little bit more about you and your background. So share with us how you got to be an expert on content.
Well, it all starts, first of all, I'm Shadidi Laser, and from the time that I entered onto the planet, entrepreneurship, the do-for-self mentality was the chief theme that was presented to me by my grandparents, who own restaurants, so on and so forth, on down to uncles, cousins, so on and so forth. So family is the first business, was the first lesson that I was taught. So on through life, a theme occurred throughout my journey in that no matter what I did during the day, the whole mission was to acquire resources and information and build a platform that allowed me to flourish. And so that theme will be discussed throughout this session. I am a military veteran, full-time entrepreneur. And when it comes to content, the story is that along my journey, a group of us, a group of friends, a group of peers, colleagues, got together. Now, this was before the release of the first Kindle, the first generation Kindle, and I'm dating myself here. And so we made the decision, it was a pact to publish as much content as humanly possible. So that means books, ebooks, so on and so forth. And during that process, starting way back in 2007, there were people who continued on that journey. And what I learned along the way in terms of audiobooks, in terms of royalties and content libraries are going to be the themes that were covered. So the fun fact is, there are many results that came from this particular pack. The Kindle Cash Flow Formula is one of those courses, and hundreds of thousands of dollars in, let's say, monthly recurring revenue, royalties, so on and so forth. Everyone who stuck with the system or the pack is doing extremely well. And I'm going to share some of the lessons that were learned, the ups, the downs, and what you need to do as an entrepreneur or a full-time professional to leverage content to your benefit.
Awesome. I love it. And I think that that's one of the things that we really, really need to hone in on is how to monetize the content with creative solutions like you and your friends have come up with. I love how you got started. What a great story. Some of our people are wondering, like, how can they get started like right away? What's the best way for them to get started like right now?
Well, the very first thing I would like you to do is take a step back and understand that what an asset is. So when we talk about assets, so we're going into passive income themes, but we're relating it to content. So an asset is a property that's owned by a person or company and has value essentially. So the moment that you publish content online, it becomes an asset. Now, the question you have to ask yourself is, how do you make it recurring? How do you make it earn per day, per week?
How do you make it earn in the first place? And then how do you make it recurring revenue? Right.
Exactly. So the first thing I want you to do, if you're a consultant, if you're a coach, if you're an expert, the very first thing I want you to do immediately after this session is to define a signature way that you create your particular gift or talent. So if this is if let's say we're hosting summits as a business, for example, and there's many ways to host a summit, but the Kimberly Summit or the Entrepreneurs Rocket Fuel Summit, once you begin to make it your own, then you can start to build intellectual property around that, and it gives you the power to license it, to create or generate royalties from it, and to lease and loan it to other business owners through private label rights. So mission number one is to define a signature system of which your content will be produced. Once you make that simple shift, then the game begins to change in your benefit.
I love it. Really, really cool. All right. So the first thing they need to do is make that mental shift and really decide how to make it their own signature stuff. Is that right?
That's correct.
All right. Awesome. Okay. So, all right. Perfect. That everybody can do on the call right now. Like, just make that mental shift. We're going to figure out how to make our stuff be our stuff with our own personal signature in it. And then what does this actually turn into as a digital asset? What are digital assets?
Well, a digital asset begins to occur when you create content underneath your umbrella, underneath your signature system. So the moment that you update, and the quick recommendation that I have for you is to create your content, whether it's an ebook, whether it's a telesummit, whether it's an audio download, and begin to place your assets into marketplaces. So Amazon would be a marketplace. There's many marketplaces that exist online. And once you place your content within marketplaces, it's similar, Kimberly, to, let's say, finding $1 on a street in a busy downtown area, meaning it doesn't matter how many people walk over it, somebody's going to pick it up eventually. So as long as your SEO is optimized and you're using these search terms in order to place your content online and start to build that, first of all, monetize and build that recurring revenue.
All right, so I love that, the idea that this particular summit is a summit that we're actually making available for free. We are giving the replays available for free in our Facebook group and also for free on our YouTube channel because the whole idea was a COVID set it and forget it strategy. However, I do have other web summits that we do monetize and we do charge for the replays on those. How would we turn that into a digital asset that we would monetize on Amazon? Really, I'm seriously curious about this.
Well, when you have let's say Amazon, for example, when you take a step back and look at the platforms that we all consume content from, Amazon being the chief example, you have a scenario where it's a search engine. So we take a step back, it is a search engine. The power of Amazon is that it is a search engine for buyers. So you want to make sure your content is available on the search engine for buyers. Now, the second part of this is within that search engine, you have the ability to have people find your content. And once they consume your content, you can redirect them back to your content library. So when you create a signature system and you upload your digital assets to the various search engines for buyers, when they consume your content, you give various calls to action that redirect to your signature content libraries that are based on your specific niche market and the problems you saw within your industry.
All right, so basically you're returning them to your material after they have this first one. You're doing sort of a callback and sharing other material with them. I like it. All right, cool. Fantastic. Okay, so that is what a digital asset is. What's a content library? Oh, I think you might be on mute. Are you there? I can't hear you, but maybe everybody else can. Mercy, can you hear him okay?
of content.
Okay, you're back. I don't know
So,
what happened.
and I believe that it froze for a bit, but we'll continue on with content libraries. So for those who, let's say, did not get the overview of the content library, this is the next step of the path to building wealth through content. So we've covered hosting your content, which, as Kimberly said, it has a callback to a central destination. So your content library is essentially your particular depot, your particular landing location for various forms of content that are centered around a specific niche. So we often see content libraries every day, but we don't recognize them for what they are. Netflix is one of the world's most popular content libraries. So the question is, if you have content and you start to build this as a system, once you establish your own house, whether it's a membership site, whether it's a paywall by which people can go and access this content, then you have the ability to leverage compound interest in order to essentially, once people come in and see one piece of content and utilizing social proof, if one person bought this content, then they also see the rest, then it leads to, let's say, the compound interest of additional purchases for your particular topic.
I like it. Okay, cool. So now you've got sort of a run on it, and now you're building your content library, and people are like, I like it and I want some more. Sort of like the binge watching on Netflix thing. Like you get, there you go. So you got a couple of them and you're liking it, and then you're like, I want the next one. They're like, but you got to pay $2.99 a piece or $19.99 for the season. Awesome. I love it. Okay. So that is a content library through Prime or through Netflix. How you mentioned search engines. So how are search engines used to generate wealth for entrepreneurs, for you, for me?
Search engines are my best friends, Kimberly, in that
Really?
my best friends, in that if you have a friend that is always willing to tell your clients where you're located or where your best material is featured, wouldn't you consider them a friend or partner? Absolutely. So with search engines, you have to understand that search engines see things a certain way. So they're only looking for certain terms, and they only, once you find out what those terms are, and just plain English, they will always generate interest and attention, leads, and sales for you. So essentially, you are establishing posts on the highest credibility networks, such as Amazon, for example. You're giving a callback to your content library. Now, your search engines, you have to understand that, especially during this time, because the focus of the summit is the next 60 days. During this time, what I want you to realize is that there are more people searching for answers that you uniquely solve than at any point in history. Now, so when people are searching for your specific solution, the answer is your content library. So the content library is the roof, the structure. Once they enter, they will be inundated. They'll be overwhelmed with your solutions. That creates a revolving door of attention, traffic, leads. And once they're inside the content library, then they transition from a one-time buyer to essentially increase your monthly recurring revenue and customer lifetime value.
I love it. So I've talked before, and I really love what you're saying here. I mean, it's just singing to my heart. And I've talked before with entrepreneurs, and when I'm coaching, I'll always say, never be a one-hit wonder, right? And always be available to have people take that next step in the journey with you. And that may be when you're on stage, people are like, well, I don't want to make a call to action. Well, think of the time that you bought the book from somebody and it was an author and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to go back to Amazon and buy everything this author ever wrote. And it turns out that they were a one-hit wonder. They only wrote one book and you got it and that's it. There are no more potato chips to eat. It was just that one potato chip. And it feels like a big letdown. So if you don't have a call to action or a journey or more content for your people after that first thing, then you're really letting them down. You're doing them a disservice. You're making them feel the way you would feel if you didn't have that next thing to buy from you, from them, right? And because you've experienced that before. So never feel that that taking somebody on a journey with you is some sort of sales process or anything. It's just the next step in the process that they're logically willing to take. Once they've already decided that they know and love and trust you, they want to take the next step. So what Shadida is asking you to do is have that content library for them to be able to take that next step, for that to already be available when you are moving things forward. Is that right?
That's absolutely correct. And when we talk about, you gave an excellent analogy of binge watching Netflix.
Yeah.
Your audience, when they take a step forward to opt into your email list, here's one particular strategy that I want you to steal, borrow, and implement over the next 60 days. This is very important that we take action. So I want you to implement the offer wall. Now, here's what the offer wall is.
The offer wall.
The offer wall. Write this down. This is something that has a strategy that has worked for me time and time and time again. So I'm going to show you what the offer wall is, and then I'm going to give you a simple way to monetize your offer wall. Now, when someone opts into your list, this is the prime time to make an offer to them of some sort. But what people often do, they may go too high ticket with their offer, or the offer may be incongruent to what is being delivered. So with the offer wall, what you're doing is you're sharing the tools that help you to generate, let's say, income within your business. So if you utilize Zoom, if you utilize Lead Pages or other Infusionsoft, other forms of technology, you are to become an affiliate for those particular platforms. And you're going to place them, just think Hollywood squares in terms of a row of different icons that people can click through and basically purchase. And they will have the affiliate links to those. Next, you're going to reach out to your business community and you're going to say, I love to feature your best offer on my offer wall. And so you become an affiliate partner, make sure the values and everything is congruent in terms of what you two offer, and make sure it's in alignment to your customer's journey, and you feature them in the next row. So it may be Kimberly Summit. It may be a few other speakers, let's say a course on how to build wealth through real estate, how to make $1,000 in the next 60 days or $1,000 per month. And that would be featured on the offer wall. So once again, when people opt into your email list, you redirect them to a page which allows them to shop with your partners and the tools that help you to succeed. So you're basically reinvesting into your audience by not making a direct sale, but you're giving them the opportunity to shop with you. If you don't have the content library yet, then you set up the offer wall, which gives you an indicator of what the audience is actually willing to click through and buy.
Wow, I love this. So I'm all about affiliate marketing. I do that all day, every day. In fact, I don't really have programs of my own. Mostly, I just give people stages and opportunities to share theirs. But I love the idea of just having a web page where all that stuff is available, sectioned off into the different things. Like maybe there's something about doing passive income. Maybe there's something else about how to create lead magnets. Maybe there's something else about how to launch a business. But different areas where they can go in and get content that they want. That's not necessarily my content, but our affiliate content. Is that correct?
That is correct.
You're such a smart cookie. Gosh, I love you. That's awesome. Fantastic. All right. Perfect. All right. What's next? I'm just eating this up and taking notes for myself as well. What are some ways that digital royalties can be generated from all of this stuff?
Now, we must go into the way back time machine, way back to 2008, 2009. Now, with the pack that was formed with the group, everyone more or less started in a certain direction and then veered off into their lane of genius.
Okay. All right. Lane of genius. I like that.
So in my particular case, it was audiobooks. So I am, let's say, my gift for expression happens to be speaking. So I'm a better speaker than I am a writer. And so I found it easier for me to create my content or create, let's say, my digital assets through speaking. So I would literally, and it's interesting, at the time I had a commute. So from the time I would leave my car and walk to the train or metro station, I would record up to two chapters on a handheld voice recorder. And many of my early audiobooks were written in this way. Now, what you have to realize is that when we talk about the marketplace of buyers, the digital distribution companies can distribute your one asset to up to 150, let's say, streaming locations. So the beauty of this is that once your content is established on these marketplaces, they all have search engines. So when you utilize social media, and let's say I schedule social media throughout the day, and I'm not talking about what I ate for lunch. This is for business owners, for professionals, leads, sales, subscribers, search engines. So when I post, let's say, questions to my audience, or I publish thought-provoking content, what begins to happen, because we live in a search engine-driven society, meaning if you miss the Super Bowl, you're going to go online and watch the Super Bowl on demand. Bringing that to this business example, if I give you a solution to a problem or challenge that you have, you're going to search and find out, well, who is this guy? Who is this person who's sharing this information? They find your information on the 150 digital streaming platforms, and then they can buy, quote unquote, a single. So it may be how I use digital assets to grow my business. So they can download that particular bite-sized nugget for 99 cents. Well, if 1,000 people happen to resonate with that topic, then every time that I post on social media, my email notifications say notification of sale received. And let me tell you, that is a wonderful way to start off your day when you are able to generate income while you're asleep.
I love it. This is so valuable. I'm super glad that you're here sharing this with our audience. And that is a really great title, How I Improved My Business with Digital Media, or How I Exploded My Business with Digital Media. I absolutely love it. Fantastic. And that would be one of those how-tos. You can make it a blog, you can make it an audio file, you can make it a YouTube presentation, you can put it on a podcast, you could do it in a variety of content methods, but it can all be from the same thing. I actually do have something called the Entrepreneur Experts Cafe, which you definitely need to be a guest on. And it's an asset that is a YouTube channel. It's also a podcast, because we rip the audio from it and make it into a podcast. And it's also on Entrepreneurs TV Network. So it's a broadcast in a variety of different ways and put out there in a bunch of different channels, which is great. It's the same piece of content, but it's used in multimedia.
That's music to my ears. It's music to my ears. This is great.
Plus, 2 people ago, we actually talked about making blogs. And one of the things that I need to do is turn all of that into a blog in some way too. But that might just be too much work for me. Maybe I'll have Mercy do it. Mercy's my amazing assistant. She's in the background and always helping me out with new things. Maybe I'll have Mercy turn it in with Otter AI and turn that into a blog post as well. Seems like a lot of work for me, but okay, maybe not. All right, awesome. So what are some ways, okay, so you actually talked about audiobooks, which is funny because I'm Hearing Stories, which is an audiobook production company. We teach how to become an audiobook narrator and a voiceover artist, and we also help authors create audiobooks from the books that they've already made and generate extra royalties for them. So tell me about your venture into the world of audiobooks.
Well, what I learned years ago is that it's easier for me to create audiobooks as opposed to, so the speed of production for me is a lot easier. And so for me, I was able to publish several different titles. I started under a pseudonym and just built, let's say, within several niche categories. And so in many cases, because it is a search engine, you'll find different titles. Let's say if the search term is how to start a business. So it may be Jack Flint, or, you know, and it goes on down the line. And on the front page, it may be my titles that I am competing against. So for me, it's been an extremely great revenue generator. And I've also taken interviews. And let's say if we take this interview, this conversation on the summit, we extract it, and we can release the entire summit as an audio book and publish it as such. So it gives additional wings to a project. It allows people to consume in various ways. So when it comes to audiobooks, it has been a vehicle for me to generate royalties, to build my brand with primarily mobile users and podcast listeners who appreciate my content. And it has exploded the amount of podcast interviews that I've had, because if they hear the quality and they hear the information, it essentially is a commercial for podcast interviews.
All right. Well, we're going to convert right now because I love what you're saying. If people want to know more about you and learn a little bit from you, how can they engage with you directly?
Well, the best way to engage with me is through the free giveaway, and that is the Business Advisor Report. And what I am giving you today, Passive Income Web Summit audience, is the opportunity to take the journey with me on my path through entrepreneurship, the ups, the downs, and the behind the scenes. I only share with the audience that I'm giving you the opportunity to engage with, and it is $53,324 of tips, tools, resources, and information to help you along your journey. In this free giveaway, it is unlimited email support, meaning when you receive if you have a question, you won't receive like a thumbs up emoji or a good job. You'll receive a case study. You'll receive a template. You'll receive the stories directly from me on how to deliver. And to take that next step, you'll go to mrshadid.com/email, and you'll receive the Ruthless Time Analysis Generator. Now, what this
Generator?
is
it journal?
Journal, excuse me.
Okay.
So Ruthless Time Analysis Journal is exactly what you need during the 60 days, in that it measures your goals and provides you with a daily process to make sure that the people you're speaking with, the meetings you're taking, the time you're spending online is accurately measured in relation to the path that you've set for yourself.
Aha. So it's keeping you on task and no more Netflix. All right, so if you set a goal for yourself in order to create passive income, which I sincerely hope all of you have, if you've created momentum for yourself to create passive income, go ahead and lock down on this because it's going to be a journal to keep you on task and make sure you're doing what you need to be doing in order to achieve the results that you want to achieve. Is that right?
That is correct.
Awesome. So tell us more about that. What does it look like? No happy faces, you said.
Oh, no thumbs up, no happy face emojis. What you will receive from me as a reward, as a thank you for taking that step forward, is you'll be allowed to come along the journey. You'll be in the passenger seat. As I go down the journey of entrepreneurship, you'll receive an invite to a free community where we build our high income skills known as the Winner's Circle. And there may be a few other bonuses that only you can access if you take the next step.
I like it. All right. So I don't see why anybody wouldn't join that right away. Join the Winner's Circle community is right on there afterwards. Is that a Facebook group?
Yes.
Awesome. All right. So you've got a Facebook group where you've got content, all kinds of really cool things. So definitely check that out. Go to Mr. Shadeed. Did I say your name right? Shadeed?
Yes.
Mr. Shadeed, which is SHADEED.com/email, and you'll be able to get the Ruthless Time Analysis Journal. And then from there, you'll be able to continue to engage with Shadeed and be able to get some of his genius downloaded into you in order to take your business to the next level and create those passive streams of income that you've been meaning to create, but you got too distracted watching Netflix instead. So fantastic, really, really good stuff here today. I actually, we have another topic to cover, which is how content can be used in estate planning. So can you tell me a little bit about that for the next generation for sort of legacy?
Well, here's the reality that I actually had a discussion with a longtime family friend of the family who was a lawyer. And the discussion that we had was when someone passes away, one of the biggest challenges, arguments, estate planning, so on and so forth, is actually social media passwords, believe it or not.
Ooh, yeah.
So in today's world, Facebook, for example, is used as a memorial for someone after they pass away. This is the world we live in. When children are born in today's world, they receive, they're on social media from the time they leave the hospital, and oftentimes parents create pages for their children. So when we talk about digital assets, for those of you watching this, you may be an author. You are a content creator, whether you are employed, self-employed, or a full-time entrepreneur. You're creating intellectual property. The question is, when your time is no longer here, when you're expired, when you're deceased, where does your content go? And in today's world, digital estate planning is the one area where the money that is generated, the revenue that's generated, the passive income that's generated is oftentimes an afterthought. So I'll give you one example. With your Amazon monthly royalties that are coming in, with your Audible royalties that are coming in, where does it go when you are no longer here? Do you have that written into your estate planning?
Yeah, that's a really good point.
When you start to think about the value of content over generations, as I said in the very beginning, the moment that you upload content to the internet within a marketplace, it becomes an asset. If you want to protect your assets, which you have to start to do, if you have an online course that generates 6 figures, for example, you have to protect your content, because once the content is evergreen or set and forget, and there's a clear promotional strategy that works over and over again, it's a turnkey system, then you must think about how can the next generation benefit from this? If something was to happen to me, how would I plan for this particular asset to begin to grow? And those who are on the cutting edge of this discussion, and they're starting to think about building from instructions to their virtual assistant, to the systems running on autopilot, to providing a series of steps so that if they're no longer there, the content still runs. It can pay for children's tuition. It can be gifted as a scholarship. And so this is when you start to think about, okay, we've covered how to get started. But for those of you who are already generating revenue from your digital assets, now you must think about how that particular seed or money tree that you've planted will begin to provide shade for the future generations.
I love it. I don't know anybody that's really thought of that. Like, and it's so true. When you have a Facebook group, like I have a Facebook group, if I get hit by a bus tomorrow, hopefully I won't, but if I do, like, who gets that, who manages that, what happens next to that, how can it be repurposed in another way, and what happens, or does it just sort of fade out? I don't know the answer to that. And we have had family members pass away, friends and family members that have passed away that had Facebook groups, and not necessarily income generating Facebook groups, but Facebook, at least Facebook pages, and the memorialization of those people afterwards is really, it's an interesting phenomenon that's occurring now because of that. Really very important things to think about that I'm really glad you brought up. Really, really interesting. So how would you go about protecting that? Do you put that in your estate plan? Do you put that in your will? Do you put that in your documents? And what about passwords and things like that? Do you put all those there too? Passwords change over time, though.
Well, passwords do change over time, but the biggest area of struggle or frustration is when there's one single point of failure, meaning one person holds all the passwords and they're no longer available to collect them. Or let's say there's a family dispute where one side of the family actually knows about the assets, but there's, let's say, the wife or husband may be the rightful heir. And if you don't define this in writing, so your will would be one place, let's say establishing, let's say, a trust for your digital assets would be another way to go about it, where the trust itself can be used to issue out, let's say, various payments for different heirs or descendants, scholarships, so on and so forth. So I would look into trust, family trust. I would look into my will. But the first thing you can do to start is as follows. You want to document your passwords and provide general instructions in terms of the way your assets are set up. From my virtual assistant does A, B, and C, and step away from the process yourself and operate from the mindset of, if I'm no longer here. And what this would do is set you up with the process of being a true business owner, meaning you can step away for 30 days and your course still runs, and your book still launched, and your blog still publishes, and your Facebook group still schedules posts, and you may have a virtual assistant or team to engage with the content within the group. And when you take that standpoint, then you can start to look at, okay, my course is generating $600 US per year. How do I want to protect this particular asset? And then that gives you the tools to protect it for a lifetime.
Amazing. Really, really good. And Rita put in, you are such a thought leader. I totally agree with that. There are so many pieces of digital content that have not been thought out, ways to monetize them, ways to draw from one piece of content to another piece of monetized content, to a content library of content, and to other assets as well. And all of the ones that you have described are all passive. Like I mean, certainly it could also draw to your live course, but what you have described are all passive income pieces to be able to create, set it and forget it in the next 60 days, to be able to create. And the what was it, offer wall that you described? I have heard of people saying, you know, like creating a resources page saying, all right, here are the resources that I recommend. And then when you refer people, you say, oh, you can just go to my resources page. It's there. I don't know how effectively that's being used, because I think that while that has been set up and it's convenient for you to be able to say that to people, I don't know that it's really driving the traffic that people expect to be driven there. However, your strategy is that when they get added to your email campaign, that they actually get referred to that wall to say, here's a ton of resources. And then people can actually just click right on it and go right there. A lot of times I hear people will say, hey, go to my resources page in a networking event where nobody's near a computer. And they're like, yeah, maybe I'll do that later, right? And I love the way that you describe adding it into email, because they're already in that medium. They're already on their computer. And it's just one click away to be able to get to all of the resources that they may need, all of which are your affiliates that you're working with. I love it. I absolutely love it.
There's so many benefits to this strategy. Number one, if you're running a paid traffic campaign, for example, and you're already generating cold leads, the best way to warm up a cold lead is to offer them something, to bring them into your world. So if you bring them through the first step, which is the opt-in, and they're able to be gifted with various resources, and you can take it a step further. You don't have to give a direct link to a sales page. You can create a blog post that shows, here's how I use the tool or the resource. And for the partners, for example, the partner offers, you can show a picture with you and your partner, and this is how we met. This is his or her product, and here's how it would benefit you, so that you completely warm up the transaction. And so for launches where you have other joint venture partners sharing your particular email list, your offer, so on and so forth, it is an excellent way to put the attention on your joint venture partners who are featured on the offer wall, increase your affiliate income, and every time your email list is opted into, you give an opportunity for your partners to generate their passive income, which is the benefit where everyone wins and you strengthen your partnerships overall. I can't see a single fault in this strategy.
Yeah, I agree. I can't see a single fault in it either. And I think it's fantastic. Really, really great content here today. I've really enjoyed it. If you guys haven't already, you need to go and download or at least click on mrshadid.com/email and grab that. Oops, I just sent it to our own internal team here. Let me send that to everybody. And grab the opportunity to get the journal, which will help you track your time during the day and get a whole bunch of extra resources from that. And you can see that he is just a wealth of information and really has his act together. And you started with a group of guys that you all just decided to do this Kindle publishing thing? Yeah?
Right before the release of the first generation of the Kindle. And everyone, whether they were published authors, bloggers at the time, let's say talk show hosts, everyone just joined the pact. And now the beauty of this is there's a few people who have remained or stayed focused on the strategy, and their children are now doing the same thing, and they're generating recurring income before they even leave high school. It's mind-boggling.
I love it. And I don't know too many people who are, below the age of 18 who have recurring income. There are some. My son, I'm super happy, and you and I are connected in this way. My son actually got me started in the audiobooks world because he didn't have anything to do during the summer. And so we put in all his cool aspects into Google, and we were like, what can a teenage boy do? And it came up, why don't you narrate audiobooks? Because he loved children and he was very charismatic, loved being on stage. And so they're like, how about this? And so he actually started narrating audiobooks, and now every month a little residual income comes into his bank account, whether he works or not. And that is it, ladies and gentlemen. He's not doing it anymore, and he's still getting passive income every month, or periodically. Some months he doesn't sell any books, but some months he sells books, and in goes deposits into his bank account from stuff he did a long time ago. He's 18 now, so that was a long time ago. 15 and a half is when he did it. So super fun, great content today here. Thank you so much for carving time out of your day to be here with us. You're amazing. We're going to have to do a lot more stuff together because I really like how you show up in the world. I like what you brought to our group, and we have a lot more to work together on. So thank you so much for being here. And before we let you go, is there any final words that you have for our crew?
Well, the number one message that I have for you is, first of all, thank you for your attention and your time, engagement in the chat. Thank you for the great comments. And my message to you is simple. During this time, as I mentioned, there's more questions being asked of people and of the world than at any other point in time in history. Before, there were other plagues and circumstances, but there were no search engines to monitor all the questions. Now the information is being gathered. So what I'd like for you to do, my call to action to you, is to amplify your signal. Whether you're a business owner, whether you're a leader, the world needs your gifts, the world needs your talent, it may be seen, do I need to be ethical to sell or offer? Give your gifts to the world, but make sure you amplify your humanity. Keep in mind that there are a lot of people going through a lot of things. And if you're just getting started in this space, as there was a comment about someone getting started with digital content, my advice to you is to bloom where you're planted. So take your knowledge, take your skills, take your abilities, and just take a step forward. There's communities that exist that will allow you to receive the answers, not to solve all the puzzles of the world in one step, but to keep taking the steps forward. Continue to show up, bloom where you're planted, and publish. Leaders publish. And that's what I want you to do with this opportunity.
I love it. Leaders publish. That's fantastic. And I am such a firm believer. And if you are not being seen, you are being overlooked. If you're not being heard, your message is not getting out there. And if you're not clear on your message, it will not resonate in the way that you want it to and make the impact that you're designed here on this earth to make. So I love what you say. Thank you so much for spending time with us today. I definitely appreciate it. We are going to dance our way out of here, but I can't thank you enough for being part of this. That was amazing. Great job.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
Up next is Michael Mansell. You got to stay tuned.
Rocket Fuel for Entrepreneurs. She's on a mission to help you launch your business to new heights. Nobody lives out loud better than Kimberly.
Okay. Awesome.